Hello, welcome to a little yin class. Um, Grabbing my phone for timer. Yeah, I just feel inspired to teach a bit of yin today. It's a very rainy monsoon day in Nepal, so just having cozy vibes. And I've had an idea to do a little yin and story time with this book called Decoding the Tao by Tom Bazio, who is a teacher of many of my teachers from acupuncture school and Qigong. And so he's a very well renowned practiced, um, not only acupuncture, Chinese medicine practitioner, but also um, internal and external martial artist. Um, yeah, and my classes have been a bit sporadic, so that's just kind of how life feels right now. So that's what I got. Um, But let's go ahead and just get started in child's pose. Yeah, let's start there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show the posture and then I'm going to begin to read from the book. So for child's pose, go ahead and bring your big toes to touch. And then you can bring your knees out wide, kind of about mat with distance. And then you can come down with the forehead, bringing your arms out long in front of you. You can also take this as a sort of embryo pose, so bringing the knees together, head down, arms back by the feet, hands by the feet. I personally, when I do yin, I like to bring like a pillow or bolster underneath my hips, in between my glutes and my feet, and then another pillow out long, and then I'll bring one ear to the pillow. So know that there are many different options and ways to practice. Um, So go ahead and find your child's pose. I'm going to be keeping time on my phone, so just using the stopwatch app, and we are in our time. So I'll tuck us into the yin practice, and then we'll get into the book. So um, yin yoga. Um, we understand yin in relationship to yang, and so this theory, this thought comes from Taoist philosophy and teaching of the theory of yin and yang. And so the thought is that yin and yang um, aren't opposite, they are oppositional in their appearance in some ways, but they're actually of the same thing. And so there's this rule of mutual convertibility. So yin turns into yang, and then yang turns into yin. Like yin gives rise to yang, and yang gives yin movement, acceleration, force. And so, although we're practicing yin, we can't separate ourselves from yang in this reality, from that sort of sensation or those sorts of aspects of the reality. So, what we're practicing is this more yin style of being and of moving, quote unquote, in the body. So, yin is more passive, it's more allowing sort of energy and attitude. Um, And yin is a lot about like yeah, yielding, and so feeling the yin aspects of the body, which is more of the this could be the body can be broken down in yin and yang in many ways, but really I like that idea, the idea of like the yin being the substance of the body, and so really feeling the also the substance, the support of the floor, the props, whatever's underneath you, and we're practicing this yielding, this active sort of relaxation. Because oftentimes when we relax, we're either falling asleep or on our phones or watching TV or eating, and all of those things are okay, right? But also, it's a powerful thing to know how to relax just with, I think, the environment around you without sort of distracting the mind. And so you'll notice too the yang, more yang aspect of our beings in relation to the body is the mind. And so you'll also notice in your yin practice, the mind will be thinking. I'll be reading too, so that might be a little bit of an anchor for the mind. But this practice also gives us a chance to experience the movement within stillness, which is something that Tom talks about in his book. Um, but when we come to the mat or when we come to meditate or do our practices, whatever they are, and our body is still, we'll notice the movement, not only of the mind, but of the heart and the breath, this sort of intrinsic expansion and contraction of our body, of our being. So that's just to orient us a little bit to the practice. And then there are three tattvas, they say, in the yin practice. And they're like three pillars or sort of like things to keep in mind while we practice. The first one is a gentle, or I like to say a sustainable edge. So coming into the posture, not forcing the stretch, but rather just coming into maybe about like 40 to 60% of your full range of motion, or whatever feels okay for your body over time. So I think we have to consider where we're placing the body and that the body will be in that position over time. So coming to a gentle, sustainable edge where you might feel a little bit of restriction, discomfort, even a little bit of like, yeah, any sort of many sensations can come up in the body more than I can even describe, but um, it's whatever you have capacity to be with in that moment. And so my teacher Emily talks about this a lot, but it's a really good time to practice boundaries and listening to when the body really says no. The body says, okay, this is uncomfortable, but maybe I can be in it, or the body's just like, yes, put me here. So coming into that sustainable edge. And then the second tattva is stillness. So not being stuck in the posture. You're welcome to get up at any time. You're in your own space or some sort of space that you can practice. And you can get up, you can pause the video, turn it off, use the bathroom, do what you need. But the invitation is stillness. So we're practicing that sort of attitude also of stillness, of like if we have the itch or we have the thought that's bothering us, like maybe we'll have some sort of habitual reaction to that, which is totally normal and okay. But this practice gives us an opportunity to pause and notice and try to be with the discomfort kind of as it comes and maybe watch it also go. And then the last tattva, the third tattva is time. So I'm keeping time on my phone, and here we're over halfway through the posture, but I'll give us a halfway mark and then a final minute mark in every posture. This is how I was taught to teach and how I practice with my teachers, and I really appreciate it because it gives us a little bit of a way to understand where we're at in the posture. Sometimes we can get like totally lost, or it can feel like super fast or super short, the posture. So just giving us our consciousness a little bit of a tether to what's going on in the posture. So here we have 2 more minutes in this hold. So I'll let you know when we're in the final minute mark, and let's just practice this last couple of minutes in silence here. All right, we're into the final minute here. As you're ready, take a gentle breath in through your nose Exhale, let it out of the mouth, and slowly begin to release your child's pose. So perhaps coming up into a tabletop, you might want to stretch one leg out and the other. But the invitation here is to really take free, intuitive movement, maybe moving slowly with that sort of practice, energy, attitude. Okay. As you're ready, we'll come down onto the belly. We're going to do a little hip opening and then a little chest shoulder opening. So this first one is napping baby. So I'm going to cue the left leg, but you can do whatever one you feel called. But you're going to come down onto the belly, bend the left knee to about 90-ish degrees, and then you can place your forehead on the mat or one cheek to the mat. Arms can be out to a T. It can be a little pillow underneath your head. If you'd like a little more opening in the hip, you can also bring a pillow underneath that left thigh, and that's going to give you a little bit more external rotation. So coming into your napping baby posture, feeling again that support underneath you from the earth. And I have my timer going. We're going to be in this posture for 5 minutes on each side, so we're going to really kind of just open it up slowly here. Okay, so I'll begin reading from this book on Taoist meditation from Tom Biggio. And also just to say that I wanted to share this book because I think so much of it applies to our yin practice, our yoga practice, our meditation practice. And it really gives a nice understanding, I think, of Qigong, but really gives so much emphasis to the breath and to conscious breathing and just meditation, that layer, that foundation of meditation, of the breath. So yeah, let's get into it. So Taoism and Taoist meditation. This is not a book on Taoism in general, nor is it a book on the history of Taoism. Taoism is a broad and multi-layered tapestry that has many branches and manifestations, which have developed over centuries. Some historical background and discussion of Taoist ideas is useful in helping the reader to understand the practice, method, and purpose of Taoist meditation. These discussions are sprinkled throughout the book, occurring within the context of practical application of Taoist theories with regards to the practice of meditation. Theory informs practice, and practice elucidates theory. Taoism started in China's prehistory and over the centuries has had a profound influence on all aspects of Chinese culture. Literally meaning the path or the way, Taoism, particularly in the West, is usually associated with the writings of Lao Tzu, the author of the Tao Te Ching, and Zhuangzi. Their works and the teachings that flow from them are often erroneously referred to as philosophical Taoism. However, Taoism, like many things Chinese, is rooted in practicality. Tao or Wei, as a philosophical idea, was not just concerned with abstract questions about truth and reality, but with patterns of human behavior and practical knowledge. Taoist meditation has much common ground with Buddhist methods of meditation, such as Zen and Vipassana, as well as yogic methods of meditation and breath control. It is not surprising then that Taoist meditation has sometimes been called Taoist yoga. Through the centuries, there has been an interpretation of Taoist, Buddhist, and Confucian ideas, or interpenetration of Taoist, Buddhist, and Confucian ideas. And we're halfway through this hold on this side. Taoist ideas influenced the development of Chan Buddhist meditation methods, and these methods in turn contributed to Taoist meditation practices. Despite these crossovers, Taoist meditation retains its own unique methods and goals. In Taoism, there are many kinds of meditation. All involve clearing the mind of distractions and focusing the mind intention in some way. Many people today are familiar with Qigong exercises, which involve coordinating mind intention with breath and movement. These exercises are used to promote health and rejuvenate the body. Taoist meditation, sometimes called Neigong or inner exercise, is often considered to be more efficacious in replenishing the vital essences of the body and was traditionally seen as a kind of internal alchemy that changed the body from the inside out. These practices were employed by many adepts as a means of attaining so-called physical immortality. The premise of much of Taoist meditation is that as people interact with the world They do so on the basis of their desires and emotions, intellectual distinctions, and appetites. As a result, they activate and expend their vital essence and begin to lose their primordial chi or vital force. As they expend essence and chi, they decline, become sick, and eventually die, often not even living out their allotted lifespan. Healing then means that there is a recovery of essence and replenishing of chi. Promoting longevity is the next step. Once a state of good health is achieved, Taoist longevity practices, known collectively as Yang Sheng or life nourishing methods, can be employed to replenish one's primordial chi up to and even beyond the level one had at birth. We're in the final minute here. This allows people to attain their natural lifespan and live to old age in good health. The Taoist idea of immortality is a step beyond, an attempt to transform all of one's chi into primordial chi and ultimately refine it to become spirit, eventually becoming transcendent and bypassing death. In fact, some early Taoists, like Ge Hong, who lived in 283 CE, urged the necessity of prolonging life and becoming immortal by laborious action and the employment of a wide variety of techniques and methods throughout one's lifetime. Whether such immortality is possible is a matter of some debate, but regular practice of Taoist meditation has been shown to improve the body's health and functioning on both the physical and mental levels, improving mental acuity, health longevity, vigor, sexual potency, and emotional balance. Okay, as you're ready, take an inhale in through your nose and exhale, sigh it out through the mouth. And we'll transition into napping baby on the other side. So if you'd like to come up into tabletop, or maybe you're down on your tummy and you want to knock your knee side to side, but then we'll bend that right knee out to the right. And if you want to place a pillow underneath the right thigh, you're welcome here. And then you can bring that left cheek to the mat. Maybe the hands are underneath the cheek or your arms are goal posted out to the side. And take a moment here again to settle. Sometimes it feels very young to sort of read during these postures. So if ever I'm reading too fast or it's a little bit like quick, my words, know that you have like the agency to mute, or you can also really like focus on your body. Or if it feels really good to listen, go ahead and listen. I have my timer started. We'll be here again for 5 minutes on this side. How does meditation accomplish this? By attaining a state of quiescence, oh no, I don't know how to say that word, of stillness where one regains connection with the primordial energies. Wang Chuanshan, a philosopher in the Ming Dynasty, explained this succinctly when he said, the quiescent state is actually a quiescent movement. It is not motionless. Therefore, a quiescent exercise is essentially a quiescent movement. So entering the quiescent state is essentially quiescent movement. It is movement within stillness. This movement within stillness is different from ordinary movement and can bring about psychological and physiological changes, one of which is that energy consuming processes change to energy storage, thereby disrupting the aging process. Taoist meditation also focuses on the breath as one of the key elements in engaging with this movement within stillness. Breathing exercises are some of the oldest recorded medical exercises in China. Regulating the breath is an indispensable part of meditation. Taoist alchemical longevity practices and health promoting exercises such as Qigong. Meditation, which focuses on quiescence or movement within stillness, is often viewed as being a complement to movement-based exercises such as Tai Chi Chuan, Bagua Zheng, Qigong exercises, and other internal exercise systems. By practicing both movement within stillness and stillness within movement, a balance is created. Methods of Taoist meditation. There are many methods of Taoist meditation. They can be done standing, sitting, or lying down. So-called sleep exercises associated with the 10th century sage and immortal Chen Tuan, involving lying on one side in a near catatonic state. Taoist meditation can involve focusing the mind inwardly or outwardly. So these are the ways we can do Taoist meditation. focusing the mind on body parts or on the internal organs, following the breath with the mind, counting breaths, visualizations of light, colors, or beautiful objects, focusing on objects in nature such as trees or water, absorbing the energy of the sun or the moon by meditating at certain periods of the lunar or solar cycle, feeling or visualizing the breath and chi moving through the meridians, focusing on holding fast to the one experience, experiencing the mind within the mind while revolving the breath through the body. We're halfway through on this side. Okay, so I'm sort of jumping around because we're in the introduction now. So he writes, why meditate? Why meditate at all? Does this navel gazing, which is a type of Taoist meditation, have a functional purpose? What does meditation actually do, and why has this withdrawal into the interior for centuries been a cornerstone of Eastern mysticism? To understand meditation, and particularly Taoist meditation, we must look at the meaning of the Tao itself. Lao Tzu's classic text, the Tao Te Ching, literally means the classic of the virtue of the Tao. Tao means path or way. He's explaining the characters, so since I can't show them, I won't say too much. But the character "de" was originally a combination of the character for footstep and straight. Later, heart was added, so "de" is usually translated as virtue, morality, or ethics. And Jing here means a canon or scripture, but Jing originally meant a warp and a loom. Although "de" is often literally translated as virtue or ethics, its meaning in Taoism is more complex. Originally, in both meaning and usage, the word "de" conveyed an idea of potential or power. And we're in the last minute here, final minute. In Chinese cosmogony, heaven comes before and earth comes after. Heaven and earth develop from the Wu Ji, an undivided potential without limit. Wu Ji literally means no polarity. It is sometimes referred to as emptiness or the void. Essentially, it is matter that is undifferentiated, undivided, and non-polarized. Movement occurs within this non-polarized, undifferentiated matter. The movement is like wind, like a breath. It is an inhalation and an exhalation, or an opening and a closing. This movement is the breath energy or the chi breath. This movement, this polarity, created by the chi breath is the Tai Chi, the great pole or extreme polarity. With the Tai Chi, the lighter transparent chi breath rises, and the heavier opaque chi breath sinks down. The light and yang aspects produces heaven, and the yin and heavy aspect produces earth. The yang diffuses and the yin receives. The potential that opens into life is rooted in heaven, but the breath through which heaven's forms are accomplished is rooted in earth. Using imagery derived from the I Ching, this can be expressed as follows. The strong, unbroken lines of the heaven trigram flow downward to be received by Earth's softer, receptive, broken lines. Earth in turn responds, actualizing heaven's potential into form and sending the chi breath back upward. As you're ready, take a slow breath in through the nose. Exhale, sigh out of the mouth. And slowly begin to release on this side, bringing that right leg back to the left. If you would like to come up into tabletop, you're welcome to, or you can continue to be on the belly. You can rock your knees side to side, but we're going to come into what they call crocodile now. So we're going to open up through the chest, the shoulders. So go ahead and bring your left arm out to a T. And from here, you're going to roll onto your left hip, bringing that right leg behind the left. I like when I'm doing yin to bring my right foot onto a pillow, or I like to extend the right leg long and just sort of take out this sort of flexion that's happening in the hip and the glutes. This is a little bit more of a yang posture here, but try as much as you can to still feel that support underneath you. And you can play with how high up you want the hand or how low down you would like. I recommend just bringing it out to a T beside you. So coming into your crocodile, bring that left cheek down onto the mat, or a pillow can be very, very helpful. Pillow, block, bolster, blanket underneath the head as well can be very helpful. Okay, again, so We're gonna be in this posture for 4 minutes on each side, getting the timer started. And I'm saying again because I am skipping a little bit forward in the book here, but yeah, Tom writes, it should be mentioned that heaven here refers to a natural operating system, organic and all-encompassing that governs and abides in all things. It is important to remember that in this context, virtue includes but is not equivalent to morality and ethics. The term also implies an effective force or power, an efficacy or potency. Earth carries and heaven and receives heaven's virtue and embodies it in form. Heaven can only be spoken of as a complement to earth, and only observed through its interpenetration with earth's chi breaths and its ever-evolving forms. Through earth's chi breaths, heaven's creative spark, its virtue, is observable. So here he's speaking about heaven and earth and man. So this is a big concept in Taoist philosophy, but also like in Qigong practice. And heaven isn't referring to sort of one single God, heaven that some of us in the West might be used to hearing about. Heaven is sort of we can think of as like, he's explaining it here, but in relation to earth. So heaven is above, earth is below. Heaven is more of the yang aspect of our life, our being, and earth is more of the yin aspect, just to put it simply. And man is the intermingling of the two. Human. They say man, but human. Okay, human life is a manifestation of all-encompassing respiration of heaven and earth, and the yin and yang flux that flows between them. Therefore, life for human beings in the natural world is expressed through movement and change. This chi breath, born of the interaction between heaven and earth, flows and circulates everywhere. It flows through the body as it would through a landscape or a painting. The body is a living landscape in which the forces of heaven and earth are always present, always operating. Life is a result of concentration of the chi breath, and death is its dissolution. We're halfway through on this side. Meditation in Taoism is considered to be a method of nourishing life, yang sheng. Yang sheng practices aim at both preserving health and leading a fuller life. In Taoist meditation, focusing on our breath allows us to connect with the one breath. Meditation in this context becomes a way of going inside, a disengagement from the world in order to reconnect with the unitary chi breath that is at the core of our life force. By connecting with the endless, limitless flux between heaven and earth, by reconnecting with heaven's virtue and earth's breaths, we reconnect and replenish from the well of life itself and recover the authenticity and wisdom which was implanted within us at our inception. We're just into the final minute here. Worldly affairs, our wants, desires, likes, dislikes, obsessions, and fixations, pull us away from the unity into countless divisions and differentiations that disperse our own chi breath. The ultimate dispersal of chi breath on a physical plane is death, but in another sense, these fixations create impediments that impair our connection to the limitless changes of heaven and earth, yin and yang, thereby creating another kind of, quote, death. Okay, we have about 31 seconds here, so let's just take this time in silence, adjusting what I'm reading and digesting your experience, feeling that support underneath you of the earth, and also that connection to the spark of that more yang energy of life, experiencing your commingling of yin and yang. Once you're ready, take a gentle breath in through the nose. Exhale, sigh it out of the mouth. Great. We'll come on to the other side. So bringing that right leg back to the left, belly down, left arm in towards the sides, and then right arm out to the right, and then bringing that left leg up and over. Right cheek comes to the mat, and we're in our crocodile. Maybe you want to put your left foot on a pillow or a block. Maybe you want to extend that left leg long, and just try to allow the hips, the shoulder to feel that compression from the earth, opening up slowly. I have my timer going here. Be here for another 4 minutes. Let's just take a moment here. I won't start reading for about a minute into the pose. So just take a moment to connect with your experience, bringing your awareness into the center of yourself, into whatever that means for you, your heart, your spine, your belly, and feeling that support underneath you. Again, practicing this yin, sort of receiving, allowing energy, attitude, vibration, practice, whatever the word. But within that heaviness, that stillness, that intention of being still, there's this movement of the breath, which in turn propels all of the body functioning, the mind functioning, which really, as Tom was saying, is this connection, this creation of life. Okay, about a minute in, so let's continue on. Meditation in Taoism is considered to be a method of nourishing life. I've already read this part. Okay. Although Taoism and life nourishing practices frequently reference long life and immortality as goals, it is implied that the real goal is to live life as a fully integrated human being. Meditation as a life nourishing practice is something that must be done slowly and constantly. Like nurturing a delicate growing plant, it is a series of small steps performed carefully and at the right time. We want to move quickly, we want to see progress, but like the farmer in the Chinese fable who pulls on rice shoots to help them grow more quickly only to succeed in killing the plants, excessive enthusiasm can cause great harm. We're halfway through on this side. Instead, adopt a natural attitude, like a small boat without paddles or sail that leisurely follows the course of a meandering stream. Things evolve slowly. Change occurs constantly, but manifests slowly. It is our ongoing engagement with the process without seeking immediate results that actually produces the results. Okay, so now moving on to lesson 1, which is the breath. The importance of the breath. Breathing is life. While we can survive for days without eating, drinking, or sleeping, we cannot live for more than a few minutes without breathing. Most of us pay attention to what we eat and drink. We are aware of how food affects our physical and mental well-being. Yet we take breathing for granted. Respiration is one of the body's most basic rhythms. This is why breathing exercises can have profound effects, both physical and psychological, on the entire human organism. Paying attention to our breath is as important as brushing our teeth, getting enough sleep, and eating right. The movements of the diaphragm and ribs in inhalation and exhalation help the vena cava to return blood to the heart. We're in the final minute here. Additionally, as the organs of digestion have direct and indirect attachments to the diaphragm, its piston-like action in breathing aids digestion and peristalsis. Even the kidneys move slightly with every breath. It is no surprise that impaired breathing can have profound effects on the functioning of the internal organs. We have just about 20 seconds here, so let's take this last bit of time in silence. As you're ready, take a gentle breath in through your nose. Exhale, sigh it out of the mouth. All right. So go ahead and come on up to tabletop position. Maybe a good place to um, do a little free movement. Of course, take your time coming out of crocodile on that side. You might want to sort of stretch out the wrists, bringing palm down, or palm sort of reverse, palm forward, fingers back. Okay, and as you're ready, come into a seat. Now we're going to get into the hips and the back. So coming into a butterfly position, I like to bring my feet a little bit further out than being so close in. However, it's up to you the amount of sort of like external rotation you would like on the hips. Bringing the feet out is maybe a little bit more like a yin way of doing the posture. I, from here, like to grab the flesh out from underneath my sits bone so my pelvis isn't too far back. If you are finding your pelvis is back like this, you can sit up on a blanket or a pillow. And then from here, we will come forward. So you can practice this posture with or without props. You can bring the arms out in front of you. You can also rest the elbows onto the knees, and you can bring a pillow underneath your head, coming into whatever version of the posture makes sense for you. I find sometimes I also like a little bit of padding underneath my ankles. They get a little bit sore pressing onto the mat, so if you have a blanket or something like that, that might be nice. And we're going to be here in this forward fold butterfly for about 7 minutes. I'm going to check on the time here. Great. My screen goes black when I record, so I don't really know what's happening. But anyway, I mean, I do, but I can't see. Okay, so got the timer going. I'll give you the halfway and the final minute mark. So the physiology of breathing. During inhalation, the diaphragm muscle contracts, causing it to move downwards. Its curved shape flattens, thereby increasing the airspace inside the thoracic cavity and decreasing the pressure in the thorax region. This creates a negative pressure in the lungs, allowing the air in the atmosphere around us to come into the lungs. When the diaphragm relaxes on exhalation, pressure in the thoracic region increases and airspace is reduced, pushing air out of the lungs. From a structural standpoint alone, the movement of the diaphragm has ramifications throughout the body. Although there is little effect on the aorta, these movements act as a pump for the vena cava, assisting return circulation to the heart. Anything affecting the tonus of the muscular fibers of the diaphragm can affect gastrointestinal physiology due to the connective tissue relationship between the esophagus and the diaphragm. The pleural dome, the connective tissue layer that caps the pleura, so the outside of the lungs, essentially forming the top of the lungs, is suspended by fibers of the scalene muscles of the neck and fibrous muscular fasciculi, which attach to the thorax. Other surfaces of the pleura attach to the diaphragm, sternum, ribs, and vertebral column. Many of the viscera also attach to the diaphragm. The liver, the stomach, the flexures of the colon coincide directly with the diaphragm, while other viscera have ligamentous connective tissue attachments to the diaphragm. Even the psoas muscle, a deep abdominal muscle that supports the spine and flexes the hip, blends with the crura and other posterior attachments of the diaphragm, all of which in turn blend with the anterior longitudinal ligament that runs up the front of the spine, connecting the vertebral bodies and the disc. So in bold, he says all of these structures are influenced by the movements of the diaphragm and respiration. So obviously that's a lot of different anatomical terms, and no need to like hang on to that, but just what he's trying to say is that this muscle that's like one of the biggest muscle that helps our smooth flow, our physiological breath function, also is connected to all of these other structures and organs in the body. So if our breath is dysregulated, then these other organs can also in turn become dysregulated, or the vice versa is also true. Breath is regulated, can help these organs regulate. Osteopath Jean-Pierre Barral has shown that the piston-like action of the diaphragm influences the mobility and motility of the viscera. In studies involving patients with infectious lung diseases and those treated with therapeutic pneumothorax, collapsing of the lungs, he observed that if the lungs and pulmonary system are attacked, the natural axes of rotation of the viscera and the intrathoracic pressure are changed. Musculoskeletal structures of the thorax may then move along different axes, which these changes can have widespread effects. Okay. Respiration oxygenates the blood and expels waste products like carbon dioxide. At a cellular level, oxygen is the indispensable key that unlocks the stored energy of ATP. The breaking of ATP's chemical bonds provides the energy for mechanical work, electrical impulses, cell division, secretion, etc. This description, oh, let's see, I'm not going to read the description. Okay, continuing on. Um, Sheldon Paul Hendler, MD, suggests that improper breathing can actually result in progressive damage to the heart through the cumulative effect of repeated arterial spasms. Hendler advocates maximizing oxygen flow and ATP production through the very same basic breathing exercises that form the foundation of Taoist meditation, what the Chinese call kidney breathing, which is in lesson 2, and we're halfway through this hold on this side, or not this side, just this hold. Okay, so not to read all of that to be scary or freaky or whatever about the breath, but just also like what he's talking about, just this importance of the flow of the breath and bringing it back to this not only the theory but also the reality of yin and yang, the reality of life, how the Chinese describe, the Chinese Taoist philosophy theory describes, is this intermingling of yin and yang create the qi breath, the movement of the breath, the movement of the qi in the body, um, which in turn sparks all of the other functionings and the other movement in the body. So he's just really trying to stress the importance as to how, if we can become familiar with our breath and have a relationship with the breath, that it can actually really help our overall life and our quality of life, and in turn, perhaps our spiritual practice as well. So here we will come into reading about kidney breathing, and we're in the final minute here of this forward fold. So what is kidney breathing? Kidney breathing is essentially diaphragmatic breathing. Obviously, we use a diaphragm every time we breathe, so why make a big deal about diaphragmatic breathing? In these lessons and in general, the term diaphragmatic breathing, what the Chinese call dantian breathing or simply kidney breathing, refers to letting the lower abdomen expand on inhalation and contract slightly on exhalation. This facilitates breathing that is slow and deep. Why is slow, deep breathing important? Many of us primarily use only the top part of the diaphragm and lungs to breathe. This results in shallow chest breathing that does not fully utilize the diaphragm or the muscles of the rib cage, the upper back, and the deep back muscles that all have attachments to the diaphragm. The richest blood flow and perfusion of oxygen occurs in the lower lungs. If airflow to the lower lungs is not optimal, then perfusion of oxygen into the blood is reduced. Only by ventilating the lower lungs can we optimize the flow of oxygen to the cells. As you're ready, take a gentle breath in through the nose. Exhale, sigh out of the mouth. And gently begin to press yourself up into a seat. You might want to come back onto the hands and knock the knees side to side. I want to sort of shake out the legs a little bit. And let's come into a fish posture. So I like to use, I have like these couch pillows here. I don't like to bring my chest so high up. If you use blocks or something like that in your practice for fish, go ahead and do it. But fish posture just basically means lifting of the chest, and then like the lower body is going to be lower than the lower to the closer to the ground than the upper body. So this is going to open up the chest. I suggest having the head supported and a little slight tuck of the chin down. Not anything aggressive, but just allowing the neck and the head to be relaxed and supported onto some sort of support. Like I suggest a pillow, blanket, something like that, even a towel. And then you can have your arms out to the sides. You can bring your hands to your ribs, your lower belly. You could even goalpost your arms if you want to really open up across the chest. You can also do what you would like with the legs. You can have them out long. You can bring the soles of the feet together, or not together, soles of the feet to the mat, just like this. Or you could bring the feet out towards the sides of the mat, knees in together. Or you could, again, if you want to, you're really feeling the butterfly, you could come into butterfly legs here as well. So go ahead and get into your fish posture and coming into your sustainable edge. So really being mindful of that. We're going to be here for about 6 minutes, and then this is our last traditional yin posture in this practice, and then we'll come into our shavasana, which I'll offer with a bit of conscious breathing practice. So our shavasana will be about 5 minutes long. Okay, so the diaphragm is a strong dome-shaped muscle that divides the chest cavity from the abdominal cavity. As we saw in lesson 1, many of our internal organs have direct or indirect attachments to the diaphragm, so that its movement in breathing directly affects the functioning of the organs, aiding venous return, peristalsis, and digestion, and the diffusion of fluids through the body cavities. The diaphragm also has attachments to the spine, the lower ribs, and the psoas muscle, which in turn connects to the upper leg. The more fully the diaphragm moves, the more these structures also move and are massaged and exercised. Okay. The Chi breath connection. What is Chi? There is no single word in the English language that adequately expresses the concept of Chi. It can be translated to mean a gas or a vapor, or understood as electromagnetic waves or fields of force. The famous Chinese scholar Joseph Needham felt that the term matter energy may most appropriately express the idea of Qi. For simplicity, Qi is often erroneously referred to as energy or vital energy in medical discussions. Webster's dictionary defines energy as follows: vitality or effective force, the capacity of acting, operating, or producing an effect, inherent power, vigorousness, activity and the product or effect of activity, the capacity for doing work or the equivalent, as in a coiled spring or a speeding train, having existence independent of matter. Qi is simultaneously all and none of these things. To understand the concept of Qi more clearly, it is helpful to study the ideogram itself and to look at how the Chinese have conceptualized Qi throughout the centuries. The Chinese character for Qi depicts vapors, curling and rising from the ground to form clouds above. The ancient oracle bone, bronze, or steel from the Chinese form of the character depicts this very clearly. Later, the ideogram was expressed showing vapors rising to form a layer of clouds. This is also part of the character for steam. The ancient form of the ideogram for Qi as the character Mi, rice, which is depicted um, in the character. This creates an image of steam or vapor rising from cooking rice. This rendering gives us the image of steam or vapor rising from cooking rice. Various interpretations may be made. It may depict the nurturing energies of rice reduced to their smallest component, a vapor, or as Needham indicates, the changing states of energy and matter. By the time of Confucius, 551 BCE, Qi also referred to physical powers or physical vitality, as well as vapors which could congeal and gather to coalesce, forming liquids or solids. We're halfway through this pose. Um, Zhang Zai, who lived from 1020 to 1077, was an important thinker who synthesized Buddhist and Taoist ideas with Confucian thought. He regarded Qi as a constantly changing vital force from which new forms emerged. In common usage, Qi can refer to air, gases, and vapors, smell, spirit, vigor, morale, attitude, the emotions, as well as tone, atmospheric changes, the weather, breath, and respiration. In the body, Qi is often discerned by its actions. The balanced and orderly vitality is partly derived from the air we breathe that cause physical changes and maintain life. When we say that someone is healthy, it is because the functioning of their body, the manifestation of their Qi, is orderly and without dysfunction. In Chinese medicine, the term zheng qi, correct or upright qi, refers to the harmonious, smooth, and active flow of the qi in the body. This creates a state of balance and adaptability. Zheng is not limited to the medical context, but also indicates the correct rhythm of nature, the proper way of living in society, the orthodox attitude of conforming with the government, and the upright position of a proper citizen and family member. Qi that is dysfunctional and inharmonious is called xie qi. It is sometimes referred to as evil qi because it violates the normative order of things. In the human body, the presence of Xie Qi leads to pain, dysfunction, mental and spiritual confusion, and premature death. The Qi can become disordered due to disease, injury, imbalanced emotions, overthinking, working too hard, improper diet, and an unharmonious lifestyle that is not in tune with the natural order of things. Taoist practices such as meditation attempt to prevent the influence of Xie Qi by connecting to and balancing the universal energies of heaven and earth and returning our interaction with them to the primordial state. And we're into our final minute here. The first step in this process is the practice of diaphragmatic or kidney breathing. All right, we just have about 30 more seconds here. So let's go ahead and end in silence. All right, as you're ready, take a gentle breath in through the nose. Exhale, sigh it out of the mouth. And begin to gently bring the palms onto the mat. You could even bring your hands behind the head as you lift yourself up into a seat. And for kidney breathing, we're gonna practice our shavasana, or our resting posture, and practice kidney breathing. So I'll talk you through it. You can either be sitting or lying down. I will be up in a seat, but go ahead and find the way that you would like to rest. I encourage you to do what feels easy and what feels good. So no pressure to sit. If that doesn't feel like within your capacity or your interest, it's okay. Actually, we first learn kidney breathing laying down, so go ahead and place the body however you would like it to be placed for your rest. Go ahead and feel the points of contact between your body and whatever's supporting the body, the earth, your props. Taking a couple of deep breaths together. As you're ready, take a gentle breath in through the nose. Exhale, sigh it out of the mouth. Two more like that. Inhale in through the nose. Exhale out through the mouth. Again, one more gently, slowly in through the nose. Exhale, sigh it out of the mouth. And more resting posture. And I'll talk us through kidney breathing. So we start by bringing your attention to the dantian. Dantian is the general area between the navel and the pubic bone. It is not on the surface of the body, but located just in front of the spine. So again, the dantian is between the navel, the belly button, and the pubic bone, so the top of the pubic bone, and it's behind the navel in front of the spine. So bringing your attention there behind the navel to the dantian. Breathe naturally and deeply, feeling the lower abdomen expand with each inhale. Feel the area in your back that is directly behind the dantian also expanding. The whole dantian area, front, back, and sides, expands and contracts with each breath. Not forcing here, but rather allowing the breath to descend by relaxing that diaphragm. Let the breath sink down and back into the sacrum and the kidneys. Do not force the air in, let it naturally and smoothly flow inward. Remember that inhaling is effortless The diaphragm drops, creating a negative air pressure inside the lungs. This allows the air outside to enter and sink inward and downward. Let the air, the breath, sink in and down to the dantian effortlessly. Continue here with your kidney breathing. Generally, we're doing this in and out through the nose. If you have to let the breath out through the mouth or in through the mouth, it's okay. Continue here. You exhale, mentally observe or feel the breath rise and move up and out through the nose. The breath is like a winding thread or a gentle stream that moves evenly and smoothly down to the dantian and up to the exhale. Again, pay attention to the smooth flow of air and its passage in and out of the body. See if you can observe the entire movement of the breath from the moment it enters the body and to the finish of the exhale. Continue here like this for just one more minute as we're at my rest, practicing kidney breathing. Just a few more breaths here, my final rest, observing that breath then flowing down into the area of the dantian, space in front of the spine, behind the navel, and up and out through the nose or the mouth. As we close, let's take our breath together, take an inhale in through the nose, exhale, let it out through the mouth. Gently begin to open up your eyes, coming into a seat or any sort of posture where you would like to end class. Um, I'll just say a few words um, yeah, and then the video will be over. But thank you for practicing. This book is very influential in my life and my practice, and so I'm happy to share some of it with you. If you have any questions about it, please feel free to reach out to ask me. Um, yeah, I think the power of breath is everything. um, and it just seems like, to me, a really interesting way to um, like play with our experience and our reality and our bodies, and also to access healing for ourselves, as our body is always trying to do well for us and help us in whatever it thinks we need to do. I think that trying to build a relationship with the breath, with the body, can, yeah, just really improve our quality of life, which can then help aid you in whatever you feel you're here to do. So thank you for watching this video. Make my screen not black. Okay. Yeah, thank you. And if you feel the desire to donate, my Venmo will be in the chat or in the chat, the email. And yeah, I really appreciate it. I'm still here living in Nepal and just doing volunteer acupuncture, and then yeah, other little projects along the way as well. So the donations are very helpful in sustaining life here. So it's very much appreciated. And also the practices here we offer. So yeah, no pressure. Okay, thank you for watching. Please reach out if you have any questions. Till next